Hello, welcome to In the Car with Starr. Clearly not in my car, but nevertheless happy to be with you. A couple of minutes delayed. I apologize for that. Just coordinating some logistics behind the scenes. And look at the bump already. Eric, normally I'm in the car talking to a slew of people, but right off the hop, as promised, going just after 11 o'clock, we're already up to 5 people joining us live on the stream. This is 5 times as many people as I'm used to talking to live.
It's massive. It's massive. I'm doing this in my base from a home office. I usually go into work, right? And even during the pandemic, I was going into work on a regular basis, but now it got cold, so I'm afraid of the cold, so I'm staying home. But you see me in the office, and my wife has all those cushions behind me. So when I did my CTV News national news hit on the Adam Johnson death, the horrific incident.
Yeah.
I did it from here. Usually I do it from home. It's a better better background. And you know, and I know one thing: when you do radio or TV, people don't listen to what you say. They just look around and they pick one thing. They have a lot of questions about these cushions, and that's fair enough. Too many cushions. That's a sump pump. It's a sump pump below the cushions in that little wood case because I live close to the water because I'm rich. So we have a sump pump.
Oh, it's beautiful. I've been to your palatial estate. Finally, I got to go there. But maybe the next time I'll get to meet some of your family, because you're the only person, as far as I know, you say you have kids, you say you're married. Yeah. I don't know if I believe you. I think I do. I've only seen pictures. No hard evidence.
I'm also not a lawyer. This is the funny thing, too, is I've been lying to you guys. It's funny because you don't have to be something to say that you are that. You just can lie about everything. My whole life, like George Costanza's a lie.
Well, as you can see here, right there, this wall of CDs, you can see how current I am with my background, right? This is where the party starts. This is where the DJ resides.
No, but this is good though. It's better than all dressed. It was like a sad background bereft of any decorations at all. This is like, it's rich. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, this is our home office, I guess. I'm in the home office. This is where she used to work when COVID was on in a full effect, right? And more or less confiscated my office, my living partner, my roommate, Madvi. She just I had my computer, I had my setup. I used to write my columns for Mise au Jeu here, and I had my own little office. I have Expo bobbleheads. I've got the what do you call those little Russian dolls? I've got a Russian.
Are they inflatable?
They are, yes. And I've got one up on my bookshelf there with books bound in leather that I've never read, so they're fresh and not cracked open. And now, for the first time since COVID ended, I'm back in my home office, feeling like I own the place. You know,
I feel like what you need is like a microphone, a USB microphone, just like
I do.
I bought this beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah,
or right before it hit, anticipating we'd be sent home and be able to do the radio show from home. And so I think this is your next step because you're famous. Please.
It is, and I've mentioned, I mentioned on my last podcast, this is a very low budget enterprise here. All I have is my iPhone 14. Pro
is that
Max.
right? This is on your phone?
This is my iPhone. I'm on my iPhone Pro Max. I don't own a laptop. So I'd love to get a microphone and talk into a microphone so I can actually sound a little bit.
Yeah, you would need a laptop for that. There are no.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, you need a USB microphone for a laptop.
Remember back in the day, I used to do a podcast with Marinero, and his outfit there, they supplied me with a laptop and a microphone, and it was great. It was great. But I had to give it all back when I left the podcast, So now we're here, bare bones. We'll get there, Eric. I promise.
Maybe get a sponsor who sells laptops.
That would be great. Brought to you by. I like ThinkPads. I like.
No. You have to get a PC. It's too hard to work on a Mac. It's not intuitive.
I don't want a Mac.
It's too hard.
I don't. Well, thanks for being here, brother.
My man, of course.
I love talking to you. And you made me uncomfortable. I saw you on CTV News last week doing your various hits in the aftermath of that terrible tragedy in England. And I saw you in your official, that's your lawyer outfit, a black tie, white shirt, gray jacket. That's very, I love
but
that.
I wasn't, and I'm serious. I wasn't wearing pants because I did it from home. So
good for you.
I just put on a jacket, a tie, and a shirt.
Yeah.
And my kids always find that funny when I do CTV or whatever. I also did a few US hits and I'm just in my shorts. But
yeah. The comments are comments are coming. Here's Rick Springhetti, a friend to the pod. Yeah. He sees behind me right behind me right there.
Okay.
I've got about 4 golf bags. And he goes, it's only the 3 or 4 golf bags. Otherwise I wouldn't have recognized you. I am a golf club hoarder. I have a staff bag. I have 3 other bags there. I've got 4 sets of golf clubs that I refuse to sell. and it's starting to occupy more and more of my space. I might have a problem.
No, I think the only problem you have is your father doesn't love you.
No. I just got off the phone, by the way. I called my mom because my dad texted me, I'm grounded. Why? You may be asked, why is my father grounding me? I'm 45 years old. I own a home. I pay a mortgage. I pay bills. But my father wants to ground me because I once again told the story when Eric was on with us this morning at 9:05 for his weekly appearance at 9 on Thursdays. Eric, that I still am holding on to a grudge 30 years later that my dad took my mom to the NHL All-Star game when the Montreal formed and Montreal hosted it all the way back in 1993. And like, I'm 14 years old. I'm the diehard of diehard Habs fans. I watch every game.
I love it.
The 86 Cup, the 93 Cup. I bleed Bleu Blanc Rouge. I've gone to, I think at this point in my life, I'm not exaggerating to make this more entertaining than it needs to be. I think at this point in my life, Eric, I have gone to 2 Montreal Canadian games. 2 in my life, right?
2?
Only 2. We didn't have season tickets. Tickets to a Canadiens game at the Forum were a pure luxury in my lifetime. I remember.
Well, you can get a media pass because you're very famous.
Correct, and I did that on for the home opener, and I haven't been back since. But going to a game was always special, always special. And as a passionate sports fan, much like your 2 boys at home, my heart doesn't hurt as much anymore. But there's still a hole in it somewhere.
It should, because your father has sent a very clear message that he doesn't love you. See, because this was on the heels of me telling you on 690 this morning that I got my kids this Christmas gift that I just can't wait to give them, and that is an experience. Namely, I bought tickets for the 4 of us to the NHL All-Star Skills Competition and the All-Star Game.
Yeah.
And that's a significant expenditure, but you know, the value of experiences as a family, you really can't put a price. Well, you can put a price tag on it, but it's fantastic. And I would do, you know me, I would do anything for these 2 boys. And the fact that your dad took your mom to the game, you were 15 years old. It was in Montreal. I don't know who was playing in 93 on the All-Star team. It was Muller or Bellows or Leclerc. I don't know who would have been back then, but it would have been at least one Habs player. Patrick, I don't know. It's just heartbreaking, but perhaps it was payback, Shaun, for burning down the bunk beds.
You son of a. Yeah, I mean, could you see? I mean, what's wrong? Is that a me problem? Shouldn't my parents have forgiven and forgotten by that point? I mean, it's you know, the bunk beds was maybe 2 years prior to that. I mean, come on, that's not a forever incident. A child burning down their bunk beds in their
It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Hey,
maybe a little bit. It's not your fault. No, what your father actually, when I tweeted it out, after our hit, because that to me is a devastating move by your father. Your father joined the conversation.
He did.
And he defended himself, said, look, he watches all the games.
Yes.
And I made it up to him many times over the years. But you can't, when you let your child / offspring down, when you let them down, you can't repair that.
I hope you're going to learn through my heartbreak, through my parents' trials and tribulations. You're going to learn this and avoid those pitfalls with your own children, as you said, building these, making memories, as they say, building these moments in your life, with the connection being sports. It's like the best thing in the world. It's the best. By the way, Eric, we're up to 12 live viewers. We're at 5. We've more than doubled this. So
that's amazing. No, this is why I say, man, don't let kids pick their favorite teams.
I love it.
The parents should pick it for the kids.
Yeah.
Because sports is the only thing in the world that offers regular instances of joy. Not even happiness, but joy. Look at the Habs Cup run in 2021. My boys and I would blank out. We were so happy. Why would you let your kid pick, like, you know, their favorite team? Like, oh, I like Fantilli. He's fun. I'll pick whatever. I'll pick who's play on Columbus. I forget. You know, you pick, you know, Connor McDavid, you pick the Oilers. Why? You have nothing in common. You got to be able to share this stuff with your kids, man. My boys were in Expos onesies. We're
really jumping on the viewers here, and Steph Howard, I think, has nailed it. Eric is here and has paid all of us to be here.
I think I love this. This is an all dress podcast reunion. Connor is John Lennon, so he's with Yoko. So I think maybe Connor is the Yoko.
He's in New York. He's in New York City, boy. He's in New York City. They don't make salsa in New York City. The Montreal Canadiens were in Anaheim starting their 3-game road trip in California with a 4-3 win. Jacques Martin on 690 on Monday joined Connor and I. And his belief is he sees the Ducks and the Canadiens pretty much nose to nose on the same track, going at the same speed, at the same rate. in terms of their rebuild. And look, I mean, the Anaheim Ducks have a guy by the name of Leo Carlsson. They lost that hockey game, by the way, 4-3 last night in a game in which Alex Newhook scored a pair. But let's talk about the rebuild for a second. Let's talk about whether or not you see the Canadiens and the Ducks nose to nose in terms of how fast they're approaching this rebuild and the success they're having in attempting to rebuild. Because the Montreal Canadiens, I don't find them as exciting as I did at this point last year. And I got a couple of reasons for that, Eric. But how are you seeing the rebuild? How are you seeing the rebuild so far?
Well, Carlson has 3 more goals than Anderson, correct? I mean,
yeah.
Carlson got a hat trick. I think he's got, I don't know how many points he's got, maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah,
I know he had 3 goals and an assist over 2 games. But these are things as a Habs fan you pay attention to. You pay attention to Connor Bedard, who's up to 10 goals. You pay attention to Adam Fantilli, who's around 10 or 12 points. You pay attention to Carlson, who got a hat trick in a game, because these are young players that are going to be game breakers and franchise players for these teams moving forward. The Canadiens drafted a defenseman when they had an opportunity to draft Mishkov. So that was disappointing. Disappointing when you have no game breakers at any level within the organization. Cole Coffield is the only elite player, and all he is an elite goal scorer. And right now he's not elite, but I still think he is. If you pair him back with Suzuki, things will get better with him, and that's likely going to change. But this is the bottom line to me, is that this is a 30-year rebuild, that we haven't had a star since Guy Lafleur. Stéphane Richer had 2 50-goal seasons. I loved him. He was fantastic. But we're rebuilding, Shaun. But we don't have any game breakers or stars at any level. And so I look at other organizations, they're better positioned for success. Mm-hmm. Because if you want to win a cup, the model is you have to have a star or 2, right? Yeah, St. Louis won a cup with Peter Angelo. You can argue he was a star then.
Yeah.
Vegas won a cup. They had a great decor. But isn't the standard, Shaun, you need a superstar or 2 to win a cup?
For sure. And look, I mean, they'll say, oh, look, what has Edmonton won, right? And then that's the line I think Ken Hughes gave to that Slovakian outlet last week when
Did he?
Yeah, he was asked about star players, and he pointed to the Edmonton Oilers and everything else. And I agree fundamentally with what Ken Hughes had said in terms of building a team, right? The thing with, and people talk about St. Louis, Jordan Binnington coming in, Ryan O'Reilly was their number 1 center. And that's fine, and it's factual. They won a Stanley Cup, but what have the Blues done? What have the Blues done since then? Are we talking about sustained success? Because that's what I want. I want sustained success, Eric, as opposed to what I think they're doing, right? That, like going with David Reinbacher, taking these kind of projects and working them out and seeing if logistically this is actually going to be something productive or not. Like, do you see it that way, that all of these decisions, like they put themselves in a spot where it's like almost like a parlay, not a row of single bets, where in order for a parlay to be profitable, for you to win it, you've got to nail every single one of them. And if the Canadiens are going to be successful, Nick Suzuki's got to be your number 1 center. Cole Caulfield's got to score 50. Lane Hudson has to be the Canadiens' version of Cale Makar. David Reinbacher has to live up to the number 5. Juraj Slafkovsky has to turn into a number 1, like boom, 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 boom. And that's like almost improbable. So I don't know if the Canadiens are going to have an outlier season where everything's going to come together, and the next year there might be 2 steps back. But so far, I'm not so sure about the path on the rebuild,
Well, interesting. I wasn't aware that Ken Hughes had said, well, look at the Oilers, because that's the kind of response I get from Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, what about the Oilers? What about the Leafs? Here's how I distill it down.
Yeah.
You need superstars won't guarantee you a cup, but not having them will guarantee you won't win a cup.
Right.
So that statement made by Ken Hughes is unfortunate to me, and it's defensive. And it's the first defensive statement I've heard him make to this point.
Yeah.
Because it's an open question, Shaun, as to whether this current management regime is able to draft properly. Canadiens have historically drafted poorly, and is this going to continue? We'll see. Slafkovsky is not going to be a number 1, it's not going to be a top forward on a team. In a few years, he may skate 25 or 30 goals, but
right.
Distilling it down, man, he's just a bit goofy when he says the game's kind of quick for him. Although I know he's going to get better and mature, but you're right. Too many things have to fall into place for the Canadiens to have a shot at sustaining some minor level of success long term. And it's going to be tough, man. You need stars.
It is. And the journey is fun. The journey is fun because the good ones give you a reason to believe in the outcome, right? They give you that cliched light at the end of the tunnel, where I'm willing to travel down this path because I do credibly believe in that light at the end of the tunnel, which would be the Stanley Cup. But I don't want to be too negative, because I do like what I see and hear from Martin St. Louis. For the first time, I like the way Michael Farber put this last week. He talked about MSL as giving more carrot than stick. More reward, less punishment. Even when you're playing poorly, great game collectively, few bad bounces, but I liked our effort, That old moral victory, the old pat on the back. I like now, Eric, he's being a little bit more critical. He talked about the team being a fragile group when they lost 4 in a row. Cole Coffield has 1 goal at even strength, prorated for a 22-goal season. Things aren't great. And talking about the fact that he wants to shorten the bench when guys aren't playing that well or taking too many penalties, which, by the way, the Canadiens are no longer the most penalized team in the NHL. They are 3rd today. But at least he's kind of, in a way, gently sharpening the knives. And that's what a coach has to do, Eric. It can't be pats on the back and great job, moral victories 82 times a year.
No, but is Marty St. Louis slightly altering his style, or is he just frustrated? I have a concern that he's not going to extend his deal. Marty St. Louis is a high-functioning adult, highly intelligent, and is accustomed to winning. Yeah, he willed his way to success and willed his way to the Hall of Fame. But, man, if you don't have the players to win, you're not going to win. And I just wonder if he's getting frustrated, because sometimes you end up changing your style because you realize there really isn't much hope.
Right.
The Canadiens, they're not hopeless, but the manner in which they've been constructed, the players that they've drafted, to me, all suggests that this team is going to continue to struggle to be relevant. I don't want the Canadiens to become the New York Knicks, if you know what I mean, or the New York Jets, because they look like the Jets, screwing up the draft and not performing.
Yes, and maybe the Jets, I don't know, the Jets might be a harsh example, because they really do look dysfunctional. They got a couple of pieces there, but like Mike Matheson has been an absolute revelation. I mean, he's got what, 5? That was his 5th goal. He's got 5 goals now. That he's got a real weapon from the point. 15 points in 19 games, 42 in his last 51. The Cole Coffield is a bit of an issue, though. The Cole Coffield, Eric, it's got to be an issue with 5 goals, 1 at 5-on-5, prorated for a 22-goal campaign and 1 goal in his last 10. The fancy stats, Travis Yost of TSN, who's a very sharp guy, does great work in breaking down the game with inside the game. And he said for a while now that Coffield and Suzuki are not the best tandem for Montreal moving forward.
I read that. I remember I talked about the article on your show, so I cut you off. And I remember you had him on before me, and I did not agree with his assessment, because when you read his article, it really just suggests that Coffield was the same across different lines, and Suzuki. Basically, when you read the line, I found the conclusion was somewhat flawed.
Okay,
so I think if you put them back together, they are going to produce. I didn't agree with the manner in which the data was interpreted.
So is the sample size now good enough to determine that he's got to go back? Because whether he plays with Newhook or he plays with Christian Dvorak, 66% of this guy's goal production and time is spent with Nick Suzuki as his number 1 center. So if he's trying to figure it out with Sean Monahan or Dvorak or Newhook or Jake Evans, whoever MSL decides to put him with, at the end of the day, the sample size has been big enough, as far as I'm concerned, that told us before he got hurt that when St. Louis took over for Ducharme, the sample size suggested he was a 40-ish, in the perfect window, 50 goals, and now it's less than half of what the promise was a year ago. I mean, I don't know how much, Eric, they can't afford to go any longer, in my opinion, with splitting those 2 guys up. I mean, it is what, I hate to say it, but it is what it is. Coffield and Suzuki have to be the tandem the rest of the way.
Well, I think they're back together as soon as the next game, which...
because Gallagher on the first line is a joke. Let's be honest, it's a joke. Brendan Gallagher on the top line. He's not a freaking top 3 player here. Come on.
No, I think they're back together for the very next game, and Coffield can score 3-on-3 when he has the room, right? So that's when he's effective, is 3-on-3.
Exactly.
Suzuki gives him the room with his passing ability and his intelligence and his creativity on the ice. Those 2 players are well suited to play together. There's not another player on the team that has the setup ability that Suzuki has when it comes to Coffield. Suzuki makes passes like Ribeiro used to make passes that as a viewer at home we didn't expect. So they need to get back together in order to fully maximize Caufield's value and his contract.
Yeah. It's a pleasure having you on the podcast today with Eric Macramalla. Joins us every Thursday at 9:05 on TSN 690, but a pleasure to have him with us. In the Car with Starr, proudly brought to you by Little Bear Pet Store, littlebearonline.com. They deliver, so hit them up. You don't have to go out in the snow. You're not a postman. Snow, sleet, hail, rain. No, you stay home. You can order all your pet's needs, because outside of you and your little family inner circle, the next people that care the most about your cat, your pet, your bird, your hamster, whatever it is, maybe you got squirrels, you like tree rats in your house, Little Bear, littlebearonline.com has all your needs. Can you explain to me why some members of Habs Nation were upset that the Canadiens have a new logo on their jersey, and it's a red maple leaf? That is our national airline. Air Canada has ponied up the cash to put their brand on the Montreal Canadiens sweater. Better than the RBC logo as far as I'm concerned, but is this something like we got to get our knickers in a twist over? That, you know, it's all about making money, Eric, and here we are in 2023, revenue streams, that's what people talk about. I don't know. I mean, you're going to get upset over Air Canada branding on Canadiens on the Canadian sweater?
So my understanding is it's just for away games, correct? So the home games remain branded via the RBC logo, and away is Air Canada. The league had been talking about this for 15 years. I remember interviewing Bill Daly, deputy commissioner in the NHL, on my show Offside, like in 2011. And talked about, like, when is this going to come? It's valuable real estate. And what he said was, and it's true, that it's not a sacred issue for the leagues, that the jersey is sacred and can't be disturbed. It's just they hadn't found an effective way to monetize it and deal with all the business conflicts that come with jersey sponsorships. So you just have to get used to it. It's, some people don't like it. I understand that. Some people are fine with it. I understand that. But irrespective of your position, it's not going to change. Now, some might say, well, how much money do you need? And is that, is the revenue generated, is it sufficient basis to put jerseys or logos on jerseys? And the answer is yes. That's the bottom line. So I understand where they're coming from, but I guess that's the reality.
I guess it's a naive outlook, right? If you ask the question, because it comes from like a romantic side of like, the Canadiens, they're untouchable, they're pristine, they're original six, the most storied franchise. That it's a naive opinion to ask the question about when is enough in terms of generating revenue and profitability. It's not how the real world thinks or operates, especially in big business.
Yeah, no, I mean, but at the same time, I do understand the position. Like, look, Yankees, Canadiens, those are sacred brands in sports, and they're global. And there's something to be said about trying to preserve that as best you can. So I get the position. But on the flip side, all sports has been trying to do, particularly since the pandemic, is monetize every inch of real estate. I mean, how many ads do we see? Remember the day, Shaun, where they said no ads in either zone?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And now there are ads in the zones. I get they're virtual, although I think there are some ads that are in there that are painted on. Yeah. But that's just how it's changed.
I wonder what the price difference is for, like, putting the Air Canada logo on the right side of the sweater versus putting it on like either side of a helmet. Like you got the Bell logo there on the helmets, and you got the Air Canada red maple leaf on their right side of the jersey. I wonder what the price point difference is, because maybe I don't know if there's a compromise there. If you want to leave the pristine white sweater of the Montreal Canadiens unblemished, unlogoed, unbranded, maybe they just put it on the helmets or something moving forward. For those
don't the Habs have something on the helmet, or am I wrong?
Yeah, Bell. I think they have
Bell. Bell, right? They got Bell on that, so that's already taken. I think the term they use in the business is detections. The number of detections, visible detections that you have, and I think the jersey is pretty good when it comes to detections, right?
Yeah, no kidding, right? And it's funny, right? Because you're in trademark law and everything else, and I know there's only so much you can talk about this, because you provide legal counsel to some really significant bands in music, as we found out today. But I was a little heartbroken, brother, that Daryl Hall and John Oates of the infamous Hall and Oates, they're at odds, and so much so they needed legal counsel. They needed a judge to rule on a restraining order that goes into effect a week from today on November 30th. But I'll tell you, so you know what drove me? How bitter I think. And listen, this is me talking.
Yes.
It's not Eric.
Yeah.
This is me talking.
Yeah.
Daryl Hall going out of his way to let TMZ know to say, listen, you know, John Oates, you know, Kiss on My List. I did all those harmonies. That's me. It's just this. What did he referred to it as a business partnership, not a creative one. And now this iconic duo, I saw them live, bro. These guys are great. I hate to see people I like fighting, Eric.
Man, they're an iconic duo, and I think what maybe he doesn't get is that seeking to take credit for the creative output of the duo ultimately serves to undermine the value of the duo and by extension his own personal value. Plus, he seems really petty. Anytime lawyers get involved in this kind of stuff,
I bet.
Terrible idea. I've told clients many times, Shaun, I'm happy to take your money, but this is a terrible idea. And let me tell you why. This will make things worse and not make things better. And that's the ultimate test. Will engaging and retaining lawyers and have them do what they do, will that make things better or worse? And here, I think don't you find it damages the legacy? I mean, they're in the Hall of Fame, right?
Yes.
They're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yes. Yeah. For sure it damages the legacy. For sure. And I always wondered about this, like with people that spend so much time together, like musicians that tour for months on end, and you know, you share so much space in a room with somebody over the years and the hours accumulate. I mean, sometimes it's a little bit normal that, you know, maybe you don't see eye to eye all the time, but you hate to see it disintegrate to the point where I gotta put a restraining order on your ass because you can't get within 200 feet of me, you know? Like,
I mean, it just suggests how far gone things are, at least for one of the two parties, and I suspect it's Hull. But I mean, to get a restraining order is so profoundly idiotic under the circumstances. I mean, figure it out. Be an adult, right?
In a way, I kind of respect the pettiness. You know, I hate you so much.
I respect the fact that lawyers have been retained.
Amen, brother. You know what else kind of got under my skin a little bit, and I guess we'll end it on this. I didn't enjoy, and I wasn't even at the game, but it really got under my skin. I didn't appreciate Grandpa lecturing sports fans in San Antonio yesterday.
Really?
If you missed this, legendary Hall of Fame coach Gregg Popovich of the San Antonio Spurs were hosting the LA Clippers last night. And LA has Kawhi Leonard on their team, former superstar, MVP, champion with Gregg Popovich of the San Antonio Spurs. And look, San Antonio's been reeling. They had lost 9 in a row prior to tip-off last night. And by the time the game was in the second quarter, in the middle of the game, Kawhi Leonard's at the charity stripe shooting free throws, and San Antonio is booing Kawhi Leonard. And Gregg Popovich, mid-game, grabs the microphone and lectures the fans, telling them, stop booing. This is not what we do. That's classless. We can be better. In my mind, how dare you? How dare you, Grandpa? First of all, it's a home game, hostile territory with the enemy here. Former player, great, no problem. The Canadiens applauded PK Subban and then booed him once the play got going on. Like, this is not a friendly environment. It's not your retirement party. And there's the difference, Mr. Macramalla, of booing at a sporting event versus crossing the line, talking about someone's wife, someone's mom, someone's ethnicity, someone's orientation, whatever the case. That's a different conversation. Booing someone, Eric, is your democratic right as a ticket holder in an arena. You don't get to lecture me. You don't get to lecture me, Grandpa. Take a seat. Come on now.
You know, it reminded me of when Bob Gainey came out and referred to the fans booing Brisebois as gutless.
Yes, you yellow
really
bastards.
Stood up for him. Apparently, Bob Gainey had never watched Patrice Brisebois play hockey, but I've got stories about him that I can't really share on the air, which is really, really too bad. Yeah. But how long has it been since Kawhi left that team? It feels like 5 years. Am I wrong?
Well, for sure. It feels like he's been out of Toronto for like 3 or 4 years already.
Yeah, so Rand was just there for a year. So I personally, I like what he did.
Why?
Because the fans have a right to boo, but they've been doing it now for years. And so he also has a right to voice his displeasure. Why should he not be for the right just because he's employed by the team that sells tickets to the fans and those fans have a right to boo? I think it's great to have that contested. Only contested because it's been going on nonstop. It's silly. I mean, when Kovalev came back, I went to that game when he came back as a Senator, and a lot of fans are booing him now. When he was one of the stars, he came out of blow kisses. They were cheering him up. There's always like a percentage of fans that are imbeciles. They're idiots, and they boo. And I don't understand that. Like, fans come back, PK comes back, and he gets booed. Like, it's like there's a part of the fan base that's missing parts of their brain. So yes, contest that level of stupidity. Thank you.
But isn't it in a way like we love you, but also, we don't want you to be successful against our team. Like when we take it to PK, for example, right? Like, Mesdames et Messieurs, PK Subban, merci, merci, merci. And then he gets the puck in a game, and then you boo him a little bit. It's that weird mix. Like, sports are so personal, right? Like, you left my team, regardless of the circumstance, you left my team and went to someone else. How you betrayed me.
That's interesting. Yeah. You have to think of, okay, why are those fans booing? Are they booing because they are supporting their team? Are they booing because the player left? And in this instance, PK didn't leave on his own accord. So why are they booing the fans? Is it a sign or a show of solidarity with their own team? Well, if it is, I don't see the point in booing the player. Just cheer on your own team, stupid. For me, the word stupid and idiot a few times here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And quite fitting, I might say. But I guess it's also like, are you team guy over player or player over team? Like, I remember when Patrick Waugh got traded based on all the circumstances there. And I remember at the time telling myself, my favorite team will be whoever Patrick Waugh goes to.
Really?
Whoever he plays for, that will be my team. Well, fast forward past 1995, I am still a Montreal Canadiens fan. I chose team over player, even though Patrick Waugh was my guy, Eric. I had his stick, I had his jerseys, I had his posters on my wall when I was a kid. 33 was my guy, but I couldn't choose him over the team. And if I were in San Antonio, I couldn't choose Kawhi over my team. I guess that's just me as a sports fan. And if I were there and Kawhi's having a night and scoring points and my team's going to lose because of him, I'm probably going to boo him.
I mean, for me, it's team over player only because when the Expos moved, I tried to follow Vladdy and Vidro and those guys, and I realized, or I tried to follow the Nationals, whereas I couldn't, so I began following these players, but even that faded over time. Team is huge. Team is part of your DNA, so you support your team. But supporting your team shouldn't also mean booing a guy for years every time he returns. I mean, get over it. Get maybe once, but geez, time after time after time. It's pathetic.
We're babies. We're just big. We're Peter Pans. We've never grown up. We're never going to grow up. Boo, boo, boo.
Yeah, that's so stupid. Do you think he cares? He's always laughing. He's like, thanks. Because he thinks it's been years.
Yeah.
And so probably the way that he internalized or reacts to it goes, man, I was so beloved here.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Oh, there he is.
Ah, beautiful dog. Fantastic.
There's Hanky.
I love it.
There's boy. There's Hanky boy. Yeah, he's been enjoying your appearance. He loves that you're on in the car with Starr. There's Hank.
Yes, but we're in the home office with Eric and Shaun.
Exactly. All right, brother. Thanks for taking the time. Enjoy the football today. You got any special eats around football? How much of this football action are you going to watch starting?
It's funny you mentioned that because, I mean, what I'm going to do is I do have some penties wings in the freezer. I'm going to make penties wings and watch the Packers game.
Oh,
I should work because I have a lot of work to do, but it's tough, right? I'm at home. I got an 80-inch TV down the hall, and I put on some football. And you?
Much like you, I'm going to relax. I'm probably not going to. I don't have any penties. I would eat penties, though, happily. And if I lived within 30 minutes driving, I would say, Eric, I am en route to your house to watch football and eat penties.
Well, what I would ask you to do is at halftime, call your father and tell him all the ways that he's disappointed you.
He's well aware. He's well aware. I'll remind him of that this weekend when I see him. All right, brother. Thank you for this. And guess what? Breaking news. Looks like Eric and I are going to kind of make this habitual. We're going to join you every Tuesday around 11 o'clock and recap and vent and talk about food and fun stuff together on In the Car with Starr. Sounds good.
Yeah, in the home office with Shaun and Eric.
Mike Rodriguez. See, look at. I'm so happy for Lions fans. Dude, they're 8-2 for the first time. Eric, like, what year were you born?
74.
Dude, the last time the lines were this good, you were minus 12. Like, it's crazy.
It's insane. My neighbor is a big Lions fan, and
No
he's
kidding.
always sad. This is a big deal. The Lions are no longer dysfunctional.
No,
But it just goes to show how long it takes to recover from organizational dysfunction. I always say it's times 2. You have guys in power for 5 years, it's 10 years. Gainey, it took 10 years after 5 years after 10 years after he left.
Well, I'm ready for the Canadiens to expedite that process. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm a win. I love winning. I have a hard time getting on Team Tank, but maybe I'll find myself in the same spot as I did last year. I want wins. I got wins. And
I don't care about tanking because the Canadiens won't even draft who they should anyway. Mishkov is lighting it up in the KHL, by the way.
Plays on a good team, man.
Yeah, but he's so young and he's lighting it up. And
I know.
Like, we needed a defenseman. Seriously, did we really need a defenseman?
You're getting me going here. You're getting me.
You don't trade. Dude. No team trades away a stud forward. It just doesn't happen.
Eric, you're so much smarter than me. How do you explain that they shoved everything down our throats for 6 months about this draft is generational? You're never going to see it for another 15 years, and they take a freaking defenseman.
And like Slavkovsky, a late bloomer. And I don't like the late bloomer.
I know.
Because they may just have peaked for a bit. To me, you pick the best damn hockey player you can find. And that was Mishkov available at 5. It's a massive, massive disaster. And it's going to be a problem for this group.
Yeah, but that one guy also was a late bloomer. And that one guy, that one time he hit. Therefore, they bat 1,000.
You know what it is, Shaun?
No.
They think they're the smartest guys in the room.
Son of a.
And in most cases, you're not.
Well, you're the smartest guy in this room because you're in the room by yourself, brother. Thanks. A pleasure to see you. A pleasure to do this together. I love you. You know that. And make sure you subscribe on YouTube, on our Facebook channel, and everything else. And make sure you get all your pets' needs at Little Bear in Westmount on St. Catherine, and they'll deliver to you as well. Find them online, littlebearonline.com. They deliver. For Eric Macramalla, I'm Shaun Starr. Enjoy the National Football League. The Canadiens in San Jose tomorrow at 3:30. Saturday, they play the LA Kings at 4. Eric, thanks, brother. We'll catch up next week.
Love you.